Welcome to the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay. This is your positive path for spiritual living.
We are looking, my friends, if you're not aware of this, at a year of remarkable change here at Unity on the Bay. As if we don't have enough change, right? In the world, in our country, in our state, in our city. But we have change taking place right here at Unity on the Bay as we prepare to release the home that we currently occupy and move forward in faith to that which God will have us experience as our future home. So lots of things are changing. But this morning I want to take a moment to recognize something that is not changing, something that is here, something that I believe has been drawn by divine appointment right down to each and every individual that I'm about to introduce to you. These are the members of the staff of Unity on the Bay. I asked at the earlier service for people to withhold their applause until everybody was standing up front. I'm not going to do that at this service. I want you to express your love and appreciation as you feel guided. No restraints, okay? Beginning with Anthony Alvarez, our Assistant Director of Music. Lily Cintron, our Accounting Coordinator. Charles Dye, our Sound Engineer. Julia Heredia, our Accounting Clerk. Raul Hernandez, our Youth and Family Ministry Coordinator. Jerry Koster, our Chief Financial Officer. Mario Matas, our Bookstore Assistant. Nathaniel Roan, our Facilities and Maintenance Coordinator. Juanita Smith, our Custodian. Dale Stein, our Director of Music Ministry. Abe Weiner, our Bookstore Coordinator. Jason Weeks, our Director of Marketing and Technology. And the one and only Reverend Juan Del Hierro, your Associate Minister. Let them know that you love them. I sure do. My friends, we are here for you. Let the changing times have their way. We are here for you, just as you are here for us. And I want to take a moment for all of us to share a blessing, an extension of our love. And I really want to remind all of you standing in the front to take this in consciously and intentionally, because for all you do, for all you give, this is our love and appreciation right back at you. We acknowledge the truth of who you are. We know that you have been brought to us by divine appointment, just as you've been brought into this life experience by divine appointment. For the gifts, for the skills, for the treasures that you bring and share so freely that this community may thrive. We are grateful. And in the name of everything that is sacred and holy, which is everything, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you. We behold you as the Christ presence, and we see you now and always doing great things. Thank you, God, for the staff of Unity on the Bay. Lord, I'm in love, I really am, with all of those amazing individuals. We're so blessed. Thank you. All here by divine appointment. All right. I want you to employ the power of your imagination with me this morning. Are you willing to do that? Yeah. You know that the power of your imagination is one of the most powerful powers that you have. And you're free to imagine anything at any time that you want. So this morning, I just want you to join me in imagining a hurricane. You say, excuse me, I don't think I really want to imagine a hurricane. It's all right, this is a different kind of a hurricane, all right? This is what I call a hurricane of appreciation. And it starts as any hurricane begins with a single wave, a single band of your focusing on something that you are extremely appreciative of. Right now, I'm looking at this clock down here on the platform, and I'm thinking, I'm very appreciative of this clock, and you should be too. Because if it wasn't here, I might go on talking all afternoon and into the evening. So that's one thing I can give thanks for. I can also give thanks for the fact that we are blessed to have this modern technology that puts us out to so many individuals who can't be in the room with us necessarily at the same time this morning, but they are with us energetically because they're connecting with us through the miracle of Facebook and the miracle of technology. I can also let you know that this morning when I woke up, I went out onto my balcony as I do every morning, and the sun was beginning to rise, and I saw a beautiful flock of birds sailing across the sky, and they were reflected down below in the surface, the still, quiet surface of the water. And my heart began singing because I knew that I was coming to this place that I love so much, and that I was going to be mingling with all these individuals who have committed themselves so sincerely to a path of spiritual awakening. I recognized that I had the power to see, that I had the ability to give thanks, that I had a healthy body, that I had hot running water. Thank you, God. Never take anything for granted. Just keep it rolling. You see, you want this to build and to build and to build. It's like a generator that dwells inside of you, my friends. It's an appreciation generator. It's a gratitude generator. It's a praise generator. It's a thanksgiving generator. And the more that you fuel it, the more it will begin to dominate every aspect of your world. The compelling reports of time and space that tell you to be concerned, dismayed, disappointed will begin to fade, because you will see that no matter how difficult your life may become, or life on this planet may become, there's always a conspiracy at work. And it is a conspiracy at work in your favor. It is working through all situations, all individuals, all locations, all arrangements that are a part of your world. This is what we need to place our focus on this Thanksgiving. Because the moment, my friends, that we become dismayed or discouraged, we begin to contribute not to this hurricane of appreciation, but rather to a hurricane of disaster that can be easily avoided by you and I making the conscious and intentional decision to reform our thinking. So I want all of us to participate in this morning. Normally, I don't ask you to scream and shout in the middle of one of my presentations, but I'm going to ask you right now, just let it out. Start shouting out what you're grateful for this Thanksgiving. Put it out. Put it out. Let me hear it from everybody. Very good. It's growing. It's growing. It's growing. Keep it growing. Keep it growing. Don't stop. Don't stop. It's starting to build momentum. It's starting to change your life. Can you feel it in the atoms and the cells of your being and your body? Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. This is good. This is good. More, more, more. Oh, okay. I'm exhausted, but I'm very happy. Now, see, you can do this, my friends. Where attention goes, energy flows, results happen. So where is your attention this Thanksgiving? Where is your attention? I love these words from Abraham Hicks. Stand right where you are, right now, and do your best to find the best of the positive aspects that surround you. Look for things to appreciate, even if there aren't that many. Look for things to feel good about, even if there are more things to feel bad about. Because, my friends, this is a choice, and you're making it whether you realize it or not. It serves you, it benefits you to wake up to the choice that you're making, to always lean in the direction of appreciation, even when you don't see anything to appreciate, to trust that it's still there. Because what happens is, and you've heard me say this many times, your appreciation is like a spiritual X-Acto knife that slices with laser precision through the compelling illusions of time and space that are reported to you by your five senses. And the moment that that X-Acto knife parts this veil of illusion, you're going to see the light of God. In fact, I would even go on to say that the more compellingly disturbing the appearances of the time-space world are to you, the greater the blessing that lies just a tiny bit beyond them. Every Thanksgiving, I think for as long as I've been in ministry, which is longer than I'm willing to admit, I shared these words by the 18th century English clergyman William Law. He said, if anyone could tell you the shortest way to happiness and perfection, he must tell you to thank God for everything that happens to you. For it is certain that whatever seeming calamity happens to you, if you thank and praise God for it, you turn it into a blessing. Remember, my friends, that you are creating the filters before your own vision that express as your experience of reality. So by mustering up the ability, even if it's just a little, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. What happens, my friends, is you go from, oh my God, to, oh my God. And it's a beautiful transformation. I've been through it many times. And so I thought I would bless you this morning by sharing with you 4 of the most difficult tragedies that have ever come across the path of my existence. Aren't you glad that it's the week before Thanksgiving and you get to hear me bemoan about these horrible situations that rose up into my life? But as I do this, I invite you to bring to mind some situations in your life that you found to be extremely discouraging, if not traumatic, if not catastrophic. And follow along with me as I share with you the reason why it is possible and practical and extremely helpful for you and I to give thanks for everything at all times. I'm not going to bemoan you with a lot of details because you've all heard this story more times than I'm sure you've cared to hear it. But for me, the biggest trauma of my life, which is generally speaking been very blessed, and I do realize that, occurred back in the 90s through my divorce. And at the time, I didn't really understand completely what I now get in terms of the importance of giving our energy to that which is breaking through that which is breaking down. Because this was, and still is, the biggest breakdown of my life. When everything that I had counted on in terms of my family and my environment just seemed to start crumbling away. Some of you have been through experiences, whether they involved relationships or marriages or whatever, experiences that really found your world crumbling around you. And because I didn't recognize the power of what was trying to break through, I crumbled right along with it. And it took me days, weeks, months, years to recuperate from that. But let me tell you something. As I stand before you today, I believe that I have a far clearer understanding of what it means to be unconditionally loving than I ever had before that trauma hit my world. Because as much as it would not be something to share with you, prior to that experience, most of my love was conditional. I didn't really know that real love was without conditions. I mean, I'd heard people talk about it, but still, I realized that the way that people responded and reacted, and above all, quite honestly, the way they did things the way I thought they ought to do them, as long as that was in place, I was in love. But it wasn't until I walked through that journey that I began to recognize the power of being able to say to somebody, I love you, and it is unconditional. My love for you is so strong and so full that it doesn't matter to me whether you cooperate with my plans and schemes or not. I just want to love you for the sake of loving you. And since I had that revelation, now I have all of these relationships in my life that are founded on unconditional love. It's such a beautiful way to live, and I would go through the pain and the suffering and the tragedy and the catastrophe of that whole mess of the 1990s over and over and over again to be who I am today. It's worth it, my friends. And then, how many of you have ever been fired from a job? Well, I had never been fired from a job until I was fired from a job. And when I was fired from a job, I again thought it was a pretty big catastrophe, and it certainly impacted me on every level, most especially emotionally. And yet, I have to tell you in this room this morning, I was really tied to believing that my identity was linked to my job, to being a minister. Much as I love it, it's not my identity. And it's not your identity. Your job is not your identity. Nothing of this world of time and space is your identity. You're more than that, and you're never really going to be able to stand in the certainty of that understanding. And it is a solid certainty. Unless you have had a few things that you've utilized as definitions for yourself stripped away during the course of your existence. A great blessing to have labels of time and space in the world pulled away from you. Does it feel good? It doesn't feel good. Nobody wants to go through this stuff. But I'll tell you again, to be able to stand in the certainty of knowing who I am, besides the title, besides the history of service in the Unity movement, all of that is beautiful and it's sacred, but it is not who I am. And I would never have known that unless I'd gone through that experience. A couple of years ago, many of you know that my best friend, Kevin Rice, had a brain hemorrhage, and in that hemorrhage, he had 2 surgeries. We didn't know that he was going to live. It wasn't actually even expected, especially after the second one, that he would, and if he did live, we didn't know whether he'd ever speak again, what his comprehension would be like. I'm happy to say that today he's better than ever. You've seen him here at Unity on the Bay. Thank you, God, for that, but I'll tell you what I really gleaned from that experience, and it was, again, an unconditional experience. And that is unconditional faith. So to what degree can you have unconditional faith even when the evidence of materiality and mortality are staring you right in the face? To what degree can you have I'm going to be faithful no matter what happens here. It doesn't matter what happens. My faith is solid. You won't know that unless you've had it tested a time or 2 or 3 or 4 or more. And then in February, most of you know that my mother passed away, and that was after 3 or 4 years of lengthy illnesses and in and out of hospitals and nursing homes. And there were many moments when I scratched my head and I was perplexed. Why was it necessary for me to make this journey? To say the very least, my friends, I learned what it means to understand the nature of unconditional eternality. Unconditional. You are an eternal being, and there's no condition in time and space that can ever take that away from you. My mother has proven that to me, just like she said she would. She said, I'll make it clear to you. I'm telling you, her presence is with me constantly. And this isn't just some kind of fabrication to help me feel a little more comforted through the process. I know she didn't go anywhere. In fact, now she's looking at me all the time. I feel her presence. You didn't become when you were born, and you don't go away when you die. That is a huge illusion that we'll never understand unless we walk through a few earthly experiences of death and begin to really prove it to ourselves. Now, there's some wonderful news to share about this. That 25-year-ago experience of the divorce, I never thought I would recuperate from. It was the worst. Getting fired was bad, but not as bad. Why? Because I had a little bit more awareness of what was going on here. A little bit more awareness that there was a divine conspiracy working underneath all of these troubles and turmoils that was actually taking me to the next level of my own ascension on the spiral of my own evolution. So it wasn't as, I knew what was going on. First time I didn't. I was caught off guard. Second time, all right, I don't like this and it's foreboding, but I still believe that it's going to provide me the fuel to move me forward. And then the situation with Kevin, very challenging, very difficult, but I still knew from the moment I got the news of what had happened that somehow something's at work here, my friends. Either there's one presence and there's one power in this experience, or there's not. If there's not, we're all going to hell. I personally don't believe that. I think we're all in heaven right now, but we have to wake up to that. So we have to trust that. All right, something's at work here. And I knew that, and it made it a little easier. And even though it may sound strange to say that out of all these experiences, my mother's passing was the least traumatic for me, it's because every time I've gone through one of these experiences, I've gotten a little stronger. I've learned to trust just a little bit more. And I knew she was all right. And I knew that, yes, I'm having an experience in human grief. grief and difficulty and missing the heck out of her, but I also knew all of this stuff was the fuel that was going to drive me forward. And whatever is going on in your life right now this morning, I want you to hear the same thing. God has not abandoned you. Life has not abandoned you. All the experiences that are on your plate right now, if you look at them from a perspective of thanksgiving and praise and appreciation, what you're going to find is they're taking you to a better place. They're making of you a stronger individual that will be able to walk through life not only as a greater blessing to yourself, but you will be a greater blessing to everybody that occupies space in your day-to-day experience. Remember this. There's always what you think is happening, and then there's what's happening. And what's happening doesn't have much to do with what you think is happening. So whatever you think is happening, which is catastrophic in measure, remember there's something else happening. What you think is happening is not what is happening. There is something greater, something grander. We find the most compelling admonition from Jesus in the book of Matthew when he said, "Seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things shall be yours as well." Seek first to see the presence of God. You look out on the world right now, it's difficult to do, isn't it? I know that. I understand that. But I can assure you, my friends, we're not lying up here every Sunday when we tell you God is all there is. We just need to have the vision. We need to have the ability to be able to perceive that. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, more than 100 years ago said, "Through the inherent law of mind action, we increase whatever we praise. The whole creation responds to praise and is glad. We make practical application of the law of praise by giving thanks always for all things." So, my friends, I want you to join me in making a commitment as you leave this room today. You are no longer going to succumb, no matter how compelling or gripping the evidence of time and space is. You're not going to succumb to that. You're going to believe when you see those reports that there is something else at work here, whether you can perceive it or not. This, my friends, is called faith. This, my friends, is called trust. And I guarantee you, you will have this coming Thursday the greatest and the grandest and the most potent and powerful Thanksgiving you've ever had if you make up your mind to see the presence of God in it all. As you make up your mind, so it is done for you. And all I have to say beyond that is, Happy Thanksgiving.
Reverend Chris, you make my neck hurt. The whole entire time I'm like, right? Do you agree? Oh my goodness. It is now time for our prosperity opportunity. We're so blessed to be spiritually fed by the music and the message this morning. And if you want to be in the flow of not only receiving but giving, now is your opportunity to give back to this amazing community that we have. We have giving envelopes in front of you. If you want to go green, please text UOTB to 73256, UOTB to 73256. You know that this month I'm celebrating my sober birthday. Thank you. October 28th, it will be 4 years that this diva has been sober. Thank you. Now, none of that would have been possible. I couldn't put 2 days together if it wasn't for a 12-step program and this place, Unity on the Bay. And that's one of the many things that I think about when I'm preparing my gift on Sundays. And for you, you know, if you've ever walked through those doors with a problem and you've left with some kind of love, comfort, or at least direction towards a solution, that's one of the things that you should be thinking of while you're preparing your gift this morning. Now, this is an act that's so sacred, so I'm going to give you a couple seconds in silence to prepare your gift. We thank you immensely for your gifts. Let's bless these gifts this morning together by putting our gift to our hearts. Divine love that I am blesses all that I give and all that I receive.
All right.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay, a spiritual community located in Miami, Florida. Unity on the Bay is supported by the generosity of its community. If you'd like to make a donation or learn more about Unity on the Bay, please visit unityonthebay.org. You can also follow Unity on the Bay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for even more positive spiritual inspiration. Until next time, thanks for listening and many blessings. Namaste.